Sarah.
Welcome to our season 4 recap. And our season 4 was the theme for season 4 was books with movies and or TV series.
Okay, I have a list of the books/movies that we watched, if you want me to say them in order.
Yes, please. Go for it.
So, first one was Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. The second
And that was Leah's book pick?
That's right.
Yeah,
okay,
yes.
And then we had Ashley's book pick, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Then we had Kim's book pick, Killers of the Flower Moon by David Gran. Followed by Sarah's book pick, A Long Way Home by Saru Ryerly. And then the name of that, movie was called Lion, right?
Lion. Yep.
Yeah. My book pick was The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot. Kara's book pick, The BFG by Roald Dahl. And Virginia's book pick, Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. Lindsay's book pick, The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Like, we did so many books this season. It's ridiculous how many we did.
And like different genres. Like you're looking at them now, all of them, like so many different genres, from like nonfiction to fiction to like children's books to self-help to
memoir,
dystopia
to romance.
romance
dystopias,
steamy romance,
which we realized was not so steamy. But
I was talking to a friend who likes like steamy romance novels. That's like her escape. She likes that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you could be on our podcast as a guest if you want. She was like, maybe. I was like, it'd be great. But I was like, because she reads this genre as her escape, she'd probably pick like the best one or the one most women focused or whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
Great. Tell her she can put in a fan for sure.
That's
Put a fan request in to be a fan book. We have a fan book for next year. Fans can go to our website in the new year and we will have the dates for the next fan book. And if you want to put a proposal in for any book that's women centered, you could go to the Book Interrupted website at www.bookinterrupted.com/fans and put in your suggestion. And you just have to be available on the dates we record. And then you'll be part of our fan book choice and we'll give you your own promo picture just like the other fans, and you can come back forever just like the other 2 of our fans. We've had 4 fans so far and 2 of them constantly come back to read other books, and you could do that too if you wanted to.
I love that. And one of the authors comes back from time to time. I wonder how she's doing.
I know. I was thinking about, so last year, but we read so many books. Last year I was thinking about reaching out to Kirsten and asking her if she wanted to do a fanfic. I thought about it in the summer, but I was just like, I don't know if I could read another book. I actually need the summer for a break. Yeah.
And she's busy. Like, she's such a busy lady doing all sorts of stuff.
Oh my gosh. She's always on social media. Constantly.
Well, she'd probably want to come back, so you should invite her. My author of my book next year is I think is Canadian, so I'm going to reach out to her. And it does say in the book that if you want her to join your book club or whatever, to reach out. So I'm going to do that. So maybe we'll have another.
Yes,
that'll be
like I love that.
Sarah, do you want to talk about how there's only the 3 of us here today for our season recap?
Oh yes, I should. Yeah. Yes. So the reason we only have 3 people here today is because, unfortunately, Kara had a staff meeting she couldn't get out of. Ashley was called into work last minute, like literally a half an hour before we came on. Her work called her in. Kim had a really rough weekend, and she was the first one being like, "I'm sorry, guys, and she always comes." So I'm like, "Of course, yeah, no problem." And then Leah woke up with a migraine. She's like, "I'm so sorry, I have a bad migraine. I can't make it." So yeah, I was like, "Oh well, that's fine. We'll just." Some of them, yeah. Ashley sent a message. What did she say again? Let me read it. Ashley wrote, "If anybody wants to mention how awesome the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is, that's fine by me." Yeah. So she's going to do a little personal journal, she said, just to say what her favorites are, but it's very clear it's 100 Games, but like book.
Yeah, and
It's
movies. She
Ashley.
watched that movie, like, she bought it
Oh,
and then
right.
watched it over and over. And then she invited anybody who wants to come and watch it with me. I'm going to watch it again. You know, like,
Yeah.
she loved it. I finally watched that movie, by the way.
Oh, and what do you think?
Yeah, I got it from the library. I love my library. I'm always telling people, I'm always plugging the library. I'm like, go to your library. They will get funding if it's used. And if nobody uses it, guess what? One day we won't have libraries. That's the way of the world these days. They're like, is this costing us money? And no, like, let's just cut it off. But people love their library. Anyway, go to your library if you have one, guys. Yeah, and it was fun. I mean, I don't know.
I thought it was good
okay.
compared to the
Yeah.
book.
I thought it was
a
kind of
decent-
like in line with the other Hunger Games movies, where like the book obviously contains a lot because you're here, you kind of know what's happening in the people's heads and their motivations, and I think that's hard to come across, like to bring out in a movie without having like an actual voice as an inner monologue thing, which you know some movies have, but yeah, I thought the music though. Like, the music was great. Like, I think they nailed it. They could have really messed up on the music, but the music actually added to it, so that's nice. Like, you really...
Did you, I don't even remember, but Ashley told us how she actually sang all the songs. Like, it wasn't just dubbed in. She sang it while they were
I got
filming.
that like, it seemed like she was, but I guess if people
Yeah.
are really good at lip syncing, you wouldn't know either way. But it did seem...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
I think there's a new Hunger Games. Isn't there coming out? A new book?
Yes.
Is there?
Yeah, I keep getting an ad for it.
It's Hamish's quarter quell, isn't it?
Here, I'll...
That's amazing, because that's what when we did the season, we said that would be the best next one.
Let me double
would be
check.
that one.
It's called,
is it...
yeah, it's called Sunrise on the Reaping. It's coming out... It's a pre-order released on March 18th, 2025. And it says, Hamish is his story, I think. Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah,
That's nice.
It says
Yeah,
on the
'cause we said that.
50th annual Hunger Games. Anyways, it's him. So, yeah.
I wonder who's gonna play him in the movie, because they're totally gonna do a movie, and it can't be Woody Harrelson because he won't look like a young Woody Harrelson. He'll look like an old one. You know?
Because he isn't old. Because
He is an old.
Woody
He is an old Woody
Harrelson, and he's
Harrelson.
old.
He is old. Yeah. That's awesome.
Interesting.
Okay, so what do you want us to do?
I think we should go around and say what our favorite book was this season, and then separate from the movie, just what your favorite book was, and then we'll go into what your favorite movie was, and then we'll talk about what book you thought translated to movie and or TV series best. So let's start with favorite book.
Not mine.
I think, like, for me, it was between Lessons in Chemistry and The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. Both fantastic books for different reasons, but both really well written as well. And because I, one of the things I like to read, like, for relaxation and stuff, is like cellular biology and you know, that kind of like DNA stuff, genetics and all of that. So that was very interesting, and having the history there, that was a really good one. And then Lessons in Chemistry was great because the female character was like, Elizabeth Zott was so strong, and she's like the type of person that you kind of, she was such a perfect heroine. You're like rooting for her, and it's like she was making the rest of women look better by not backing down ever from who she was, unapologetically yourself. And it was really well written. I enjoyed both.
I have the book. I bought the book Lessons in Chemistry, but I haven't read it yet, and I wasn't there for the taping. But is it a nonfiction or fiction?
Fiction.
It's fiction. Yeah.
Yep.
I was thinking it was
Yeah, so I'll put it to you on. It's my favorite book too.
Oh, good. Well, I have it sitting on my desk, so I will read it at some point.
Surprised that I pulled it out. Look at this pile of books behind here.
Yeah, so my favorite book was Lessons in Chemistry. I knew it was. I said that at the last recap that I already knew it was going to be because I had already read it. Like, I predicted that would be my favorite because it's like 5-star book for me. I love that book. I didn't mind reading it again. And then the other two I really, really enjoyed was The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and then The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. Those are my top ones. But I still like those were probably like 4-star ones. The other two, maybe Henrietta Lacks I gave a 5. I can't remember. But Lessons in Chemistry, Elizabeth Zott character, and there was so much to the book, and it was so well written. And and that remember that story that we found out about the woman who wrote it, Bonnie Garmis, right? Yeah, she was in. We watched something that she was in. She was telling a story about how she was in a staff meeting or something, and wasn't that someone
she had
stole
done
her
a presentation?
idea?
She'd done a presentation, and after she was done, but what direction that she thinks they should take, and after she was done, nobody said anything. And then the guy, somebody maybe in charge, somebody else, some man says, we're not going to do that, but this is what I think we should do. And he named the points that she had like on the screen right in front. And everyone's like, that's a wonderful idea to him, not to her. And she was supposed to go back and do some work assignment. But instead, she went back and started writing Lessons in Chemistry. And it's so relatable because like anybody who works in a big company like that, that is a woman. It's happened where you say an idea and then someone's like, no, we're not doing that. And then they say your exact words. Like I once had a boss who did that to me, but he made me explain something to him and I was writing notes on his whiteboard. And then the next day he calls me in to explain that to me. Like I didn't know what I was talking about, but it was my writing. It was even in my writing. And he was like being super condescending, and it's just so funny how common it is, right? So it makes Bonnie Garmis also kind of a hero to women, being like, thank you for writing it down, because you know this, when you're being gaslit, you want that like somebody tell you, no, you're not crazy. That actually happens a lot. Like it happens to other people, not just you. So if you're wondering why it's happening, it's just our culture. It's like accepted, because the rest of the people in the room in this story that she was telling, the rest of the people in the room, nobody said anything. Nobody said, wait a minute, but that's her idea right up on the screen right there. Sorry.
Horrible. I know.
I ran.
So if you haven't read, like Lindsay, read it. Like immediately.
I bought it. I was going to read it, but I couldn't come to the taping, and then I didn't read it. And it's sitting there, so I will.
Didn't read because we read 9 books this season. It's a lot. I've got another book club. I felt like I have all these other books that are not in either book clubs that I want to read. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get through all these books.
Well, and some of them are some of them are more deep or big, or so they weren't like not all were easy books. So.
Yeah, but you should read it, and anyone else is listening, definitely read it. Like I couldn't put it down even the second reading, even though I knew what was going to happen. It's such an exceptional book.
Great.
Exceptional.
Yeah, you really enjoy the characters.
Yeah, so that's for me. Those are 3. The 3 I picked. And Lindsay, what was your favorite?
Well, I didn't read all of. Well, actually,
most.
I read most of them actually, and I've already read Eat, Pray, Love before, so that was, and then I'm looking at the list. I just didn't read Lessons in Chemistry, and I'm sure I read BFG when I was younger, but I can't remember. But The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks was my favorite. I found that I love learning while I'm reading too, and I felt like I learned some things, and it was such a powerful story, and it surprised me, and it was well written, and I just got the most out of it. I mean, I can tell you things I didn't like more than, out of the books.
Let's go to that one.
I did like the Hunger Games one, The Ballad of the Somber Stakes. I like that series, so that was cute. My book was not my favorite, even though I'd read it already. I found that the most interesting. I think sometimes books, just like relationships or everything, come to you in certain times in your life, and you're like, oh, you're in a great relationship with someone, but then if you'd met them another time, you would have never gotten along. And I think that with books, it's the same thing. Like sometimes you pick up a book and you're like, this is the time I need this book. And, like Sarah was saying, this is the best book or whatever. But had she maybe read it 10 years ago or read it 10 years from now, maybe you'd be like, oh, that was okay or whatever, right?
That's how I felt about Eat, Pray, Love. I
Yeah.
loved it the first time I read it, and then we read it for the book club, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
no.
That's why I kind of didn't, I figured I shouldn't show up because I know that's Kim's favorite book, I think, or what used to be. And I was like, I don't want to, I'm not showing up because I really dislike that book and the movie and the premise and the everything about it. So, but maybe if I'd read it again, I would have liked it. Anyway, so I feel like The Hating Game was one of those books where I was like, well, when I first read it, I was like, well, this is light and fluffy and that's what I needed and whatever. And when I read it again, I was like, oh, this is not so great. So, but I thought Killers of the Flower Moon, I liked the story. I just found it such a drag to read. Like
The
I couldn't
writing
get
was
through
bad.
it. A Long Way Home. I mean, the writing wasn't the best either of that one, but it's a good story as well. So yeah, I guess that's all the books, but I, there's some that I really liked The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. But some of the other ones I wasn't as into, I guess.
Yeah, so for me, The Big Friendly Giant, I had read it before for my kids and it was fine. But because I was reading it again for my kids, I forgot how annoying and how often he talks in his gibberish language. And it's like, it was frustrating to read it out loud. Yeah, so I really did not enjoy that during this book cycle because I was reading it aloud to my kids. It was very frustrating. I couldn't get through it quickly and I didn't enjoy it. And then, yeah, my book, A Long Way Home. So for the movie, I like that movie. I did not care. The book was, not well written and kind of long-winded. So it wasn't my favorite. What else? Yeah, and like you, The Hating Game wasn't my favorite. Eat, Pray, Love. I used to love that book. Didn't really enjoy it. It wasn't, I thought it was different than I remembered. So it was like you said, not the right time. Yeah. Oh, and I already mentioned that I liked the Hunger Game one. So this season was good. I think I was really good to do books turned into movies, but definitely there was.
So what was your favorite movies then? If we did favorite books.
So I guess my favorite movie was the Hunger Game one, and then maybe A Long Way Home. I thought the Long Way Home movie was good. Like I felt like the kid was so cute in it. Like I really liked that movie. But I think the Hunger Games, if I had to pick a movie that I enjoyed the most, probably that one. I mean, The Immortal Life of Henry Lacks was okay too, but it was in the book. Like the book was so much. And it just skipped all the...
There was a lot in the book too. Like you wouldn't be able to put it into a movie, I think.
But I liked the movie, but it wasn't. But I
thought the movie was fine.
I think my top movie. Yeah, me too.
I think the movie did a good job of it.
Lessons in Chemistry, that show I probably would have liked if I had never read the book, but reading the book made me hate that show. Not hate it, but being like, this is not the book at all. You changed way too much.
It removed the essence of the book. It took the essence out.
She's not, they took out Elizabeth Dott's amazing character. Like they made her different. But if I had watched it without ever reading the book, I probably would have liked it. But knowing that they changed a whole bunch of things, then I didn't enjoy it as much. But
what if you had watched, would you have liked to have watched that show first and then read the book after? Or it's better to just read the book?
Maybe.
Just read the book.
Just read the book.
I don't know.
But if I had watched the show and then read the book, I would have been like, oh, this book is so amazing. And maybe I would have remembered Elizabeth Dott as a person in the book instead of in the show.
The weaker Zot that they have in the show. Yes, the less sure of herself Zot that they have in the show. I don't know. I was watching the show with my husband, and he didn't watch the whole series. He came down on some episodes to watch a little bit, and he was like, oh my god, he's like this is bad. Like this, like the episodes that he was watching, he's like, the writing on this episode is really bad. I was like, he's like, is this what the book was like? And I was like, no, it wasn't what the book was about at all. Like the later episodes are just, they're too much. They're just not.
They They didn't need to change it. They didn't need to change anything about it. They changed storylines. They didn't need to change anything. It was perfection, that book,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I hate when they do that.
Right?
It's
They're
like, if you're gonna be true, I understand you gotta
But
shorten
this-
it and whatever, but don't like change the essence of
I think it was more like they're
But-
like, oh man, this story makes men look bad. Let's switch that around instead.
The directors
know.
were women, but the writer was a man. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's fine. But I thought, yeah, I think Hunger Games and then A Long Way Home. That's how I'd go. What about you guys?
I don't know. I never got to see the Lion, the Long Way Home one yet. I haven't been able to find it yet. So
it
you
should be
went
at your
off-
library.
I know.
You
and
should
it
be able to,
wasn't.
yeah.
I think I could probably request it from another library because you can do that. You can get like books or media from anywhere in our province through the library if it's at a different library. So I got to try harder on that one.
You're plugging the library again. And
I
at the
plug the library
the-
all the time. Support your local library. Anyway, let's see. The movies. Obviously, I did not like the Lessons in Chemistry TV show. And the hating game, I did not. It was just,
God.
it was
It's
That was
just
No,
worse
that's
than
not
the
yours.
book.
but some people
bad.
love that movie, and I think maybe it's
Yeah.
a generational thing because when I look up reviews for the movie, some people are like, "I can't stop watching it. I watch it over and over," and you're like, "Oh, there's a certain audience, and I'm not it."
Maybe.
If we're talking about movies that were probably true to the book, like the BFG, I think did a good job of keeping up with that creepy Roald Dahl feel. Like the first time we tried to watch the BFG years ago, my kids who, they're not scared of many movies. Like they love the second Harry Potter with the basilisk and stuff. They're like, it's fine. Or Jurassic Park. I don't know. They've watched that. And they'd watched that before the BFG and they were like, we don't like this. It's so like the giant is really creepy, so it took us a while to watch that movie. And Roald Dahl's books they're not that kind of like clean, happy childhood kids book. Some could argue that they're not really children's books in some senses. You know what I mean? Like they're very they got a lot going
They're
on.
dark.
Some disturbing. Yeah, they're kind of dark. So I think the movie did a good job of being kind of dark. I don't know if I would watch. To be honest, I don't know if I would watch any of the movie again.
I'm with you. I don't know that I liked any of the movies as much as the books. Like I don't. While I'm like
No,
looking
not
through
as
the
not
list,
as much.
no,
Not as
but
much as the
even
books.
then,
No.
like I found, like the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was a good movie on its own, but it didn't. There were so many things missing from the book, which I didn't like. The Killers of the Flower Moon was like the most painful movie. It was so long. I think Lion. I watched Lion a long time ago.
was
That
so
movie,
long.
but it was so long.
It took us days to finish that
days.
movie.
It was like
days.
days.
I'm not
long.
joking. We had to be like, well, we gotta go to bed. Like we don't have whatever it was, 3.5 hours to sit down
It was
and watch a
longer
movie.
than that. I think it was.
It was
And,
three
like,
and a half
longer,
hours.
too.
Yeah. I watched it just before our recording and I was doing it at night and I was like, oh my God, when I kept on looking, I'm like, oh my God, it's something I'm only halfway done this movie. And like, I said, I'm so late to finish that movie.
Mhm.
Like, oh my God.
And like it's such an
Yeah.
important story to tell, and it's like it's just like a drawn out movie. The movie wasn't like the same as the book, anyways. And then
No.
Lion. I watched the movie a long time ago, so I think I like that.
It was a good movie.
But I also found the Light or Mortal Life of Henrietta Lacks movie not enough information and not as much. It's like they're all the same. And then The Hating Game was a really bad movie.
Was abysmal.
That was abysmal. That was the worst movie.
But
But
it's kind of
we-
fun because it wasn't very long, and then my husband watched it with me, and it was fun because it's like we're laughing and being like, "Oh my God, this is too much!" Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know.
And it was worse.
The-
It was like at least the book had like some kind of like tension and steamy scenes and whatever. Like the movie
There
was
was
just
nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, the movie was bad. Like, just bad. Bad.
So I think that maybe the moral of the story is movies will never be as good as books. So just read the book.
Right. I think also
book.
watch the movie first if you're okay with if
Yes.
you'll actually finish a book without knowing the ending, which I would. Like I'll reread a book knowing what the ending is if I enjoy it. So, but I think
No,
maybe
I don't.
next time I'll watch the movie first.
I don't
Because
know.
I would-
I disagree. Sorry, you go ahead.
I
You can
did that
finish
with the
your
Hunger
thought.
Games. I didn't read the Hunger Games until last season when we did it, the first book. And so I enjoyed the movies much more, but I can say that like even though the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes movie is probably a higher caliber than the other Hunger Games movies just because it was made more recent and there's more recent developments in filmmaking, films are different than they used to be. I probably enjoyed it less than I enjoyed the first Hunger Games movies when I hadn't read the books at all. That's what I'm saying.
So I'm gonna just pick Harry Potter as an example. When I watched the first movie before I read all the books. I read all the books, but because I watched the first movie, for the whole series, I picture those actors as the characters when I'm reading the book. Whereas I
still do.
wish, whereas I wish that I love the idea of like making up in your head what people look like and like what they are and who they are and how they walk and how they whatever. And if you watch a movie first, then you're only going to probably picture what the filmmaker wants you to
But like
see as
Harry Potter is
opposed.
a really good example though too, where the books are so long and they have so much in them and characters like people were like upset that Peeves wasn't in the movies. I didn't feel upset about that because I'd watched all the movies way before I read the books. And I think I enjoyed the books even more like and then I enjoyed the movies more afterwards because like I learned more. I don't know. Maybe those are just good movies, even though they're not spot
Yeah,
on.
they might be. I think they are pretty good movies, even though I
Yeah.
don't like J.K. Rowling as
Yeah.
a person. So I don't know. I don't know about that. But maybe you should watch them.
Maybe. I think it's very personal, but I think I've decided maybe next time. Although, who's kidding? Who am I kidding? I'm probably just gonna read books and never watch the movies that are associated.
Yeah, me too.
That's just more of who I am. Maybe.
Yeah, I watch more movies than read books, so I'll probably watch more movies than read all the books anyways. So there you go.
I think that the only reason I watch a movie, because I usually just watch the movies I like over and over and over. Like I don't spread out to new movies very often. But if I read that book and a new movie comes up and I'm like, maybe I'll be adventurous, it's because I've already read the book.
Yeah,
But
you
I'm
want to
always slightly
relive the
disappointed.
enjoyment of the book by watching the movie.
Yeah.
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 When is the next season
No,
launch? When's the website going to be up? Like, do we know? Like, is it going to be right before the season or don't know?
This episode will be on January 1st. So the website will actually be finished by then, actually.
Oh, great.
Great. So look at our website for our new season, but
Yeah,
Sarah
look at
will
our
tell
website.
you.
Launch. It's already up there.
If you want to see, but I'll tell you what it is too.
I'm excited about my book. I was going to go serious nonfiction, and then I was like, maybe we all need a laugh because I just feel like there's so many serious books that are very good out there. But I just felt like between this podcast and then my other book club, I was just reading a lot of like very serious, like upsetting maybe books, and I just thought, well, maybe I just need something that I'm going to laugh out loud at, and I found this book, and I've already read it. I'll read it again. And like I was reading parts out loud to Dan, and he was laughing too. Like I was reading it out loud to the kids, parts of it, not all of it. It's for adults. But and they were laughing out loud. Great. But it's got some serious bits too.
So
It's
reveal
not
it.
everything's depressing. It's called Solutions and Other Problems by Ali Brosh. Is that right? Ali Brosh.
And it's a graphic.
And she wrote.
And it's a graphic novel. Another
It
graphic
is.
novel that we're going to give a
The
try
first
to.
one didn't
there
go
we
so great. No
it's
one liked the
lovely.
first one.
It's not a pure graphic. It's not a purely graphic novel. It is a novel that's got like stories written out, and then it also has like the graphic part to supplement the stories. So it's not just panels one after another. It's kind of a mix of drawings and written like full sentence storytelling. So it's
that's
kind of a
interesting.
memoir.
So our first graphic novel was Fun House. Yes. Or Fun Home.
Fun Home.
Fun Home. Like
Fun
as in a
Home.
funeral home. They called the funeral home Fun Home.
Oh yeah, right. And it was fully a graphic novel. And then we read The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, and they said graphic novel, but it was more like a story with some drawings in it. So now this is like a blend of the two. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
It's a little bit of both.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a little bit of both. So.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So everyone else's books. So Kim's book pick is the Memoirs of Miss Chief Eagle Testicle, a true and exact accounting of the history of Turtle Island, by Kent Monkman and Giselle Gordon. And then Ashley's book pick is Lola by Melissa Schooner. Love. My book pick is The Change by Kirsten Miller. It's very witchy. It also has people in like perimenopause. So I was like, all right, The Change. And I was feeling that at the time because I'm still waiting for my
film. No. It's suspenseful.
Supplements coming.
It's a horror film. The horror of be getting older.
Actually, it's kind of a thriller. Like there is a dead body. And then Virginia is coming back again, and she picked a book, and she picked The Women by Kristen Hanna. And
that one will make you very angry. I just finished it for my other book club. Very good. Well written.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everyone at the book club were like, I was so angry.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good thing we have the witchy one before.
It's a historical fiction.
Right. About Vietnam. That's what I could see.
Vietnam.
Yeah.
Women who went to Vietnam.
Okay. And Lindsay, your book pick is We Ripped the World Apart by Charlene Carr. And,
yeah, that one's going to make people, I think,
angry too.
Upset and angry. Yeah. But my mom gave it to me because she read it. She said, you have to read this book. So that's why I picked it. I read the like first little bit of it. So I haven't read the whole thing, but it's a pretty important story.
Okay. Kara's book pick is Nobody Cries at Bingo by Dawn Dermott. And it is supposed to be really funny. That one's supposed to be funny. And I think this one's a memoir. Anyway, so that's it. That's next season. Leah didn't pick a book, but she's just going to jump on other people's books because she is doing a year of no. So she's like, I'm doing the year of no. So I have to say no, but I'll jump on someone else's book. I said, okay, great.
So I have to say no. So she says no to everything?
Yeah.
Great.
I think she commits to a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah, I say no a lot.
She schedules lots of things. Like she has lots of things going on. And I think that she's kind of like me. Like she commits to something and then she does too many things. So good for her. I'm supporting her 100%. Year of no. So yeah, she'll jump on one of our books. She said, everyone send their books and she'll figure out which one she's going to jump on.
What's happened in this season though? Because we did some off the shelves. What was fun? We did other things in this season. It was busy.
Never Have I Ever. We did.
We had trouble with that one. Never Have I Ever was hard because everybody, the never saying that you never did was when you're supposed to make your sound.
Yeah.
And we're making each other sound. And we didn't, everybody was having trouble deciding when to do it. If it was because they did it or they didn't do it. Anyway, that was probably the most confusing one we did. We were all. And
also, I couldn't oink. I decided to do the oink sound, which I always have a hard time with. I don't know why I did that. And then we did Would You Rather. We did that too. That was fun. What other off the shelf did we do?
I don't know.
You did. You know, it's really fun. This year, Sarah interviewed not all of us, just with you.
Yeah, just me. Yeah.
So interviewed different authors about their books. That's a cool thing you started.
Yeah, the mini episodes are called Author Spotlight. So I got to interview. So authors approach us constantly. Like we joke that nobody contacts us, but authors contact us constantly. So and some authors are opt into the mini episodes and some authors don't. Because they reach out for us to do their book, but then some don't really want to be on the interview. They just want us to read their book, so we don't hear back. But we constantly get authors contacting us or authors agents and stuff like that. Yeah, so this year I've interviewed so many interesting people, and I have more to come, like and a wide range of books, like fantasy books and then memoirs and
Did you
we
read
had
all
the
of the
rock.
books? Like, did you read
No,
all their
no.
books?
No, so that's why I created many. I basically making the episodes. So if you're an author, listen, you just come on the show. I haven't read your book. I'm going to read. I read what your book's about on Amazon or on your website, whichever you give me, or both. And then I ask some questions about it, and I just basically allow you to plug your book. Like, tell our listeners why we should read your book and what your book's about. Because we just last season we had read 9 books. Like, I just don't have enough time to read any more books. And also, sometimes I want to read a book that I want to read, like that's just a book I'm enjoying, right? So, no, I don't read the books, and they just
So
tell me about
we're
the
not
books.
promoting these books. We're just, I mean,
We're
they're
promoting
the author
The
is promoting.
authors.
Yeah,
But
we're
some of
the
them I
author's
really want
promoting
to
their
read.
book.
Some of them sound like there's a guy that was on just recently, Chris. I can't remember his last name. Anyway, Chris, and he's from Ireland. He's from Belfast. And he wrote this book 40 years after, when he was 21, he took a trip. He wanted to ride his motorbike to Australia, but that ended up like driving all the way down to South Africa from Ireland, like through the Middle East, through the Sierra Desert. Then he got a boat and then drove from like South America all the way back up to Canada, ended up in Argentina before he got home. Like, so fascinating.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did
Very
he
cool.
ever
And
make
he
it
has,
to
like,
Australia?
he
Or
did
we're
just
not
this
supposed to know?
year. No, just last
Oh.
year. He did it in this book, and he decided, his buddy was like, I just read your book. Like, so you've never been? And he's like, yeah. He's like, we should do that. So they just did. He just finally did it. He got the same motorcycle too. He still had it.
Sweet. That's fun.
The Dead Rock Stars, those guys were hilarious. And they wrote a book about, the 27 Club, the Dead Rock Stars, and how they're actually secret agents and they didn't die. I really want to read that book. So there's lots of amazing books of people that come on that I'll definitely read. And popular books. It's just that they're not like maybe super duper mainstream, but like that motorcycle guy's book, he has 1,300 5-star reviews on Amazon. Right? Like, so anyway, so it's nice to support, and he's self-published. It's nice to support some authors that are self-published or with small publishing houses. Some of these people are just with small publishers, so people don't really know about their books.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if you're an author, come on our show, and you have a little interview with me, and then people can know about your book. Because there's so many books out there that aren't getting attention. So, yeah.
It's interesting because if an author wanted to be on the show, like the podcast, they could suggest a book they hadn't written.
Yes,
that
for
goes
sure
with
they
our
could.
theme, and read it, and then we can all talk about it. I'm just saying. If I was an author and you're like, no, only fans allowed to come on as co-hosts, I'd be like, well, I love reading because I love books.
Usually what I say to authors that have, because they often fill out our fan thing on our website. And then I have to say, our theme, like this year, I'm like, it's only books to movies. So most of these, well, like your book isn't a movie. It has to be pretty big to become a movie. So, or even with us, then now it'll say women centered, but I'll just be like, that's not our format, but we have these many episodes. So yeah, that was really fun. I'm going to continue doing that next year. I really like meeting new people and talking about their books. And I definitely have, next time I come to Canada, I will be definitely picking up some of these authors' books. So I really want to, some of them I'm like dying to read, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Very neat new addition to the book Interrupted.
I was going to do one of the interviews, and I read the book. And
then we just
kept on trying to reschedule, and then like nothing came of it in the end. I was like, oh, well, I've read this other book. I like bought it. I couldn't get it. I couldn't find it at my library.
Support your local library.
Support your local library. Yeah, I did buy it.
Okay, well, I think that's the end of our recap. So that was a super fun season.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I can't wait for the next season.
Yeah, I like that it's women centered. I'm excited about that.
I also like that there's a couple like funny books in there. Yeah.
I think it's a good selection. I've already started Kim's book, the memoir of Mischief.
Eagle Testicle?
With a testicle.
Eagle Testicle. I couldn't remember what bird it was. Eagle Testicle, yeah. And so far, I really like it. So we'll see.
Great.
But I just started it today. But yeah. All right. So that's it. Thanks, ladies, for. I'm glad we had someone show up.
Yeah.
I can't wait to show you your pictures. They're gonna be.
Are they hilarious?
They're gonna be good. Lindsay's just not
Yay.
hilarious, but
Mine's not hilarious. My book is not hilarious. So
Yeah,
it's a very
yours can't be
serious
hilarious.
book.
I think Ashley's is gonna be the funniest.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
her
her
book is
Paloma.
about a drug cartel leader. So I think it'll be funny what she's doing. Anyway.
Did my
right.
pictures, was she able to put me in the bucket?
Well, I don't know yet. So she's doing them right now. Anyway, she's just little comments she's giving me. And she's like, this is going to be great. Yeah.
I'm going to be in a
right.
bucket, Lindsay. One of the
I'm
first stories in
excited.
my book is how she gets stuck in a bucket as a child.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I like
Should be
it.
good.
Yeah, I'm glad there's some fun books. When I saw because I saw what you guys were picking, and I was like, I already know some people are picking fun ones. So I was like, we got to do some serious ones too. We got to mix it up. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because
think
we
it's gonna be a
sometimes
good
go
season.
all in one direction and we're like, oh God, another book about whatever.
yeah,
Death and-
so it seems like
Well,
this will be a
same.
good mix.
I say this year was a good mix too. And I think next year will. The banned book season was really, really heavy on the dystopian horribleness. So
Which is
it
funny
was,
because that's like one of my favorite kind of novels is dystopian novels.
Anyways, well,
All right,
really
that's
lovely
it.
to see you both, and that's a wrap. I'm gonna say that. That's a wrap.
Season 5. Woohoo!
Excellent.
If you've enjoyed these video highlights, listen to the full episode on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to like and subscribe and ring that bell to be notified when new episodes are published. Find out more by going to www.bookinterrupted.com.
Never forget, every child matters.